Hello, Repony. It's Fluttershy169 here, bringing to you Pretty in Pink by David Reinold. In this story, every pony tries to cope as laughter is suddenly torn out of their lives. This story is a tragedy slash slice of life. I've heard readings of this story, I barely remember them, but now I'm going to do them, so let's jump in and hope for the best. It was wintertime, but any holiday cheer would have been in distasteful irony. There was nothing to be happy about. Something was missing. A facet of life in Ponyville, something I'd always taken for granted. I never even considered that one day I might be without it. This facet took the form of a keen and bubbly mare who always wore a smile and made a point to share that smile with every pony. But she no longer wore a smile. Her eyes were closed and she was also almost frowning. It was unnatural for her. And when I spun the thought around in my mind, I didn't like the conclusion I drew. There would be no more parties. There would be no more giggling. In fact, Ponyville would be lucky if any pony was ever happy again. My heart clouded over from the snowstorm of emotion. After the procession, I sat in the library for what felt like hours, just sitting there, staring at the floor, avoiding thinking at all costs. At that point, thinking would have been rather masochistic, if not suicidal. There was too much to think about, and no good could have been drawn from thinking about it. Not even Rainbow Dash could clear the cloud that hung over Ponyville. But try as I might to rid my mind of the semblance of thoughts, I couldn't keep the gears from turning. My mind wasn't conditioned to the lack of thought. I gave up and allowed myself to process it all. It was so sudden. The first inevitable thought entered my mind, and I let it run. One day she was the same giggling ball of fun who I'd spent nearly every day of my life in Ponyville with. The next day she was... I couldn't think any further. I pushed all my thoughts away as the tears began to flow. I lay flat on the floor, with my teeth gritting, sobbing. I remained there for the rest of the evening, barely conscious. I hardly noticed when Spike gently lifted my head and put a pillow underneath. I only half noticed when a minute later he lay a blanket over me. I should have noticed sooner, was the last thought that crossed my mind before sleep gripped me. The next morning, I woke up feeling dead inside. The chill of the winter weather had penetrated my heart. I lay in the same spot for several hours that morning. My body seemed to think that if I didn't do anything that day, perhaps the day wouldn't happen at all. But it was wishful thinking. That became clear when a soft tap on the door caught my attention. Then a voice followed. "Twi, can I come in?" I still stayed where I was for lack of energy, willpower, or any semblance of motivation, so in my stead, Spike opened the door. Applejack wandered in and took a seat next to me. "I just wanted to talk, 's all. I've been mighty restless, and I thought talking it over might do us both some good." I grunted in acknowledgement. "It's just... no pony saw it coming. She must have known, but she didn't tell no pony. I can only imagine why." I grunted again in acknowledgement. Applejack seemed frustrated by this. "Well, a mighty help you are. Honestly, all I wanted to do was talk, and here you are, can hardly put a word or two in." Applejack got up and went back outside. A moment later, I heard Rarity's voice. The two of them were talking. A second later, Rarity came in. "Come on, get up." "Why?" I barely mumbled the question. "We're not going to let you sit here and rot from your own depression. Some fresh air will do you good." I still refused to get up, so Rarity casted a levitation spell. "Come on, we're leaving." Against my will, I was magically dragged outside. "Where are you taking me?" I again mumbled. Rarity, instead of replying, sighed. You still have friends left, Twilight. Being one pony short doesn't justify the neglect of the rest. We all need to cope, but if any coping is to be done, we need you to be there with us. And you know what else, Twilight? What? I asked, hardly caring but humoring her anyway. You need us there with you. That's a fact. I was silent the rest of the trip. The loneliness of the cold blinded me to my companions. Sugar Cube Corner was a bittersweet sight. Even more bittersweet was the fact that the rest of my friends stood there, but the frizzy-made bouncing blur of pink was not among them. I closed my eyes and tried to shut it all out. Twilight, you need to stand up. Now, I heard Rarity's voice say. I scoffed silently. Easy enough for the independent one to say. I can honestly say I didn't expect you to crumble like this so easily. Of course, the farm pony would know all about one's composure. Twilight, come on! She'd want us to move on. She'd hate to see us suffer. Pfft, yeah, Rainbow Dash. The pony that was never fazed by anything. She would say that. Be strong, Twilight. My eyes opened wide. The last one was Fluttershy. Even Fluttershy, the most emotionally fragile pony I knew, was standing up tall. Even Fluttershy, the frail and tender Pegasus who was afraid of everything, was looking her emotions in the eye and staring them down, daring them to consume her. Even Fluttershy. I realized then and there that I was an absolute mess. I closed my eyes tight and gritted my teeth again, preparing for the tears. Rarity released her levitation spell, and I fell to the ground with a light thud. With this, I pulled away from my emotions for a moment by what I felt around me. The ground. I hadn't noticed earlier, but there was a light snow on the ground. Of course, I thought. It's winter. Winter. The thought processed for a moment, after which I took a deep breath and stood up, tears in my eyes, but a weak smile across my face. Any pony want to go ice skating? In the mist of icy despair, my heart began to thaw. We all found skates and picked a lake that had a good solid ice. Rarity was absolutely right. The fresh air was like breathing pure adrenaline. I was awake. I felt aware. The tears had long since crusted over and my eyes were dry. I felt like everything would be all right, and that the one who couldn't be here with us would be smiling down on us, knowing that we were doing what she always encouraged, having fun with each other. I was just as horrible at ice skating as I was at the previous time, during my first winter wrap-up experience. But this time, I was able to laugh at my mistakes. This time, I didn't have any goals to accomplish or tasks to complete. This time, trying was all that mattered.